Is your sister coming?
No, Sam wouldn't be caught dead at a frat party.
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Where to begin? I've absolutely no idea. As you've all heard, Melissa Barrera has been fired from her role as Sam Carpenter in the next instalment of Scream 7. And I'm just going to talk about how I feel about that and obviously what I think is going to happen in the next Scream movie if the next Scream movie is actually going to come out. Now, as most of you will know, I'm not very political, if at all, on my YouTube channel. I see other channels doing a lot of political stuff because that's what helps their channel grow, etc. This channel has nothing to do with that. I keep my social politics to myself most of the time, and sometimes I will feel a little bit heated and I'll discuss that on social media, but never, or usually never, on YouTube, because YouTube is just a platform for my movies and that's about it. And this is going to be about the movie today, but I feel like I have to say something about the social aspect of it. I don't think social politics belongs in terms of decision making for actors and actresses, because actors and actresses, believe it or not, are human beings. They've got their own feelings, they've got their own thoughts as well. And if a group of actors and actresses are allowed to give their opinions on social politics, then another group of actors and actresses should also be allowed to do the same. It's free speech at the end of the day. When you say free speech, obviously there's a line that you cannot cross, or you should not cross. I know people do cross the line. You know, they're very hatred towards people and they say nasty things. I would say that that type of behaviour, then yeah, that's obviously not allowed, or it shouldn't be allowed. But there's other people that, like Melissa Barrera, she just gives her personal opinions and her thoughts behind genocide, for example, and because it doesn't coincide with what Hollywood are being touted and what they're being told to say, then anyone that goes against that, apparently, is just fired. Susan Sarandon get fired as well. I don't know what she said, and I'm not going to discuss that, but with Melissa Barrera, we'll talk about that a little bit, and then we'll get into the movie itself. Now, I'm going to read out one of her statements. She has made a few statements, and they're all similar to each other. They've all got the same story behind them. I'm going to read one of them out, which is very interesting, because after I read that out, you'll understand what I mean. Now, she said on her Instagram, "I have been actively looking for videos and information about the Palestinian side for the last 2 weeks or so, following accounts, etc. Why? Because Western media only show the other side. Why they do that, I will let you deduce for yourself. Usually the algorithm on social media gets the gist. Well, my discovery page on Instagram will only show me videos showing and talking about the Israeli side. Censorship is real. Palestinians know this. They know the world has been trying to make them invisible for decades. Keep sharing." Now, she has went on to talk about genocide and ethnic cleansing, etc. None of what she said is incorrect. She's not specifically taking sides either. She's just against genocide. She's against war, and she wants it to end. She does save the children, for God's sake. She does all that kind of stuff, and she's not very active on social media, and the only time she is active is when she's basically telling the truth. There's nothing in those statements that anyone can say is incorrect, and if you do, I'd like to see your findings behind that, and that's what I'm going on to next. After her statements, obviously the rumours came out that she was fired, and then it came out that it was true that she was fired, and then people are just going on blindly saying, yeah, it serves her right for talking silly, it serves her right for giving anti-Semitic comments, and you're like, well, where does she do that? You're just assuming that she's done that because she was fired. When someone gets fired and it's going on to social media, people just automatically assume that they're guilty. But because of course they are. Well, no, they're not. If they can say that she's been anti-Semitic, then you have to then provide us the proof of that. Yes, you can delete comments, but those comments will always be online, especially when you're using that as proof against her. You will take screenshots, but there's absolutely no screenshots anywhere on the internet where she's been anti-Semitic or anything that's been claimed that she's been. So I don't understand that. Now, here's the next one. A lot of people have came out, like Christopher Sarandon came out to say that he's upset about what's happening, but he's not really doing anything about it, which is a bit of annoying. Variety have then spoken to Spyglass Media Group, and this is what they've said. A spokesperson for Spyglass Media Group says that the company dropped Melissa Barrera from the cast of Scream 7 because her social media posts were interpreted as anti-Semitic, interpreted as in that's their opinion, and an opinion shouldn't then determine the fate of an actor or an actress. So anyway, Spyglass's stance is unequivocally clear. We have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism or the incitement of hate in any form, including false references to genocide, ethnic cleansing, Holocaust distortion, or anything that flagrantly crosses the line into hate speech. I think the whole entire internet can agree that she didn't do anything of the sort. So because that they've come out with that statement just makes it worse, because they look bad already and now they look even worse, by actually admitting that they're lying about it and admitting that they're only doing what Hollywood is telling them to do in this moment. Now, Melissa Barrera, this is the real kicker. Melissa Barrera said in her comments about we're only getting the Western media's side of things and we believe everything the Western media says. I'm from a completely different country to Melissa Barrera and everyone else in the US. I'm from Scotland and the United Kingdom, and we get the exact same media as you guys over in the West. But when you look at it from a different point of view in different countries, it's different depending on where you are. That's just normal. That happens all the time. So she's not lying. Now, here's an ultimate example of being fed the Western media's information and running with it as fact. If you all remember, Jamie Lee Curtis said terror from the skies, and she's put an Israeli flag for the Israeli children. She's posted a picture of Palestinian children, not realising that it's Palestinian children. She thinks it's Israeli children. Why does she think that? Because the Western media posted that online on social media and said this is Israeli children, they're scared for their lives. And all the Western actors and actresses and a lot of people just fed that up. They're like, num, 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 num. Yep, it must be true. Israeli children are under attack and Palestinians are evil. That's the way that the Western media has portrayed it, and that's exactly what Melissa Barrera has said. And Jamie Lee Curtis's post is a prime example. There are other examples of actors and actresses joining the Jamie Lee Curtis train because that's what they're told to do. Jamie Lee Curtis is now an Academy Award winner, so she has to do what she's told in terms of social media for the most part. But then you look at civilians, they're all doing the same. As soon as they find out that Melissa Barrera has been sacked, they're saying, good, she shouldn't be saying things like that. And I'm like, well, you show us where she said things like that, because she obviously didn't. And that's where we're getting at. So when it comes to social politics, I'm sure most of you will agree, it shouldn't take part in the movie world. Hollywood shouldn't take anything to do with that. Yes, of course, they should in terms of their personal beliefs, exactly what Melissa Barrera has done. But they shouldn't be getting involved in sacking people for their own opinions, especially when their opinions isn't anything to do with the reason that they're sacked. Social politics, like I said, I don't take part in that too much. I think this is probably my first post ever on social politics. In terms of the war itself, I'm not going to comment on that. It depends on how you feel. I'm not saying that there's a right side and a wrong side of what people are talking about, and exactly with Melissa Barrera's stance as well. I'm not saying that she's wrong and I'm not saying that she's right. But what is wrong is she's getting fired for her opinion on things, and then Spyglass are going out and spinning that opinion. They've got an opinion on her opinion and they're spinning it in a way that they don't want her there. Why did they not want her there? It makes them look bad apparently, but now they look worse because nobody wants to see Scream 7. And for those who do want to see Scream 7, it's only because they're intrigued to see what's going to happen now without Neve Campbell and now without Melissa Barrera. There's also selective punishment. You look at people like Jamie Lee Curtis, that was one of her posts of many. She's posted many things on the Israeli side. Again, I'm not against and for a certain side, but she's posted many things for Israeli side and against Palestinians. And again, that's just the exact same thing as they're interpreting that Melissa Barrera has done. I don't see Jamie Lee Curtis being fired from anything in the future. Why? Because she's more powerful. Then you look at people like Jana Ortega. Apparently, I've not seen it, but apparently she's on the Palestinian side and she's been vocal about that. But because Jana Ortega is a bigger name than Melissa Barrera, nothing's happening to her. I'm assuming and hoping that Jana Ortega is going to say, well, I'm on the Palestinian side as well, so I might as well fire myself. And maybe some of the other co-stars will do the same. Maybe eventually Christopher Landon will have to do the same as well if everyone stands up against the organisations that want to silence people. Specifically, I'm guessing that if Melissa Barrera posted Israeli flags all over the place, she wouldn't be fired. It's only because she goes against the grain of what Hollywood are told to do, then that's why she's been fired. Before we move on to the movie news part, just know that I've not given an opinion on the war. I'm not going to give an opinion of the war online. That's not what I do. If you want to know my personal opinion, then speak to me personally face to face about that. That's the only way I'll really discuss it. All you need to know for me is I feel sorry for Melissa Barrera because she's spoken up about her opinions and this is what's happened to her. So that's a downright shame. But let's move on to the movie part and what that means for Scream 7. As you know, Scream 6 had to write out Sidney Prescott because they didn't want to pay Neve Campbell the money, and that's what happened. And then because of that, we get a silly little line that says that she's doing good.
She sends her love, but she's taking Mark and the kids someplace safe.
Now, if we get the same for Scream 7, if it goes ahead, if we get the same line for Sam for Scream 7, I'm going to flip my lid.
Is your sister coming?
No, Sam wouldn't be got dead at a frat party.
So does that mean that Tara is going to be the main character? If Tara returns, because again, we don't know if Jana Ortega will definitely return. So there's going to be one Carpenter sister. As it stands right now, everybody else is still on board. So we can assume it's the core three now. We've got Tara, Chad and Mindy, unfortunately. And it's going to be about those three apparently. We're not going to have Sidney Prescott. We're not going to have Sam Carpenter. Where are they going to go with that? I had a whole host of videos lined up to talk about that involve Sam. And now I can't do those videos, selfishly. So I can't talk about what I was going to talk about previously because it doesn't really coincide with the storyline. And I think now that if you bring a character like Stu back, it's a bit bittersweet now because I wanted Stu to be involved in the new cast and the old cast. But I think if you bring in Stu now, it's only to try and cover their tracks on what they've done previously with firing Melissa Barrera. So I think anything they do now to shoehorn in, it's just to cover the cracks. There's also no way that they can kill Sam off screen because that's in poor taste. If they try and kill her off on screen, they're going to have to recast her, and I don't think they're going to be able to cast someone that looks like her and just show her from behind, because I think that goes against the actors' guidelines, especially with the writer's strike and the actor's strike that's previously happened. I think something to do with your likeness is not going to be allowed. That all began back with Back to the Future 2 with Crispin Glover's likeness. He was able to sue Universal for using his likeness for people to believe that it's actually him when it actually wasn't. And the same would go for Sam's character, the same would go for Melissa Barrera's character, Sam, that you can't really use someone that looks like Melissa Barrera and show her from the side or in the darkness. That's probably not going to be allowed. So I don't think they're going to be able to kill Sam off. They're going to have to just make her live off screen and in hiding, just like Sidney Prescott. Ultimately, guys, the story itself, I don't know where they're going to go with this story anymore because of what's happened. My only hope now is there's so much backlash that Spyglass have to give up. Spyglass and Paramount have to give up the rights to the Scream franchise and hand it over to someone else so that Melissa Barrera can come back. I think it's too late for Melissa Barrera to come back now, even if Spyglass apologised to her for her personal opinions. If they apologised to her, I still don't think she would want to come back out of principle. So I think the only way for her to come back now, and even Sidney Prescott, would be for Spyglass and Paramount, to just give up the rights and hand it over to another company so that people can come back and be paid accordingly for Neve Campbell and to be treated right for someone like Melissa Barrera. That's the only way forward that I can see now. But if Spyglass and Paramount don't give up the rights, I don't see Scream 7 being successful, and I maybe don't see it being made. That's the problem. I think they'll hold off now, and they'll say, do you know what? We're not giving up the rights. We're going to keep it, and we're going to start filming when everybody forgets about what happened. But as soon as they start filming and rolling those cameras, we will remember. So that's all I've got, guys, on the matter. Try and keep it civil in the comments, because I know that some people are going to disagree. It's okay to disagree on political things, and that's why I don't really talk about political things on my channel, but I know that people are going to be commenting it on down below. But try and please be civil about it. I know you're going to have your opinions, and if you're going to say things like, yeah, she was sacked because of her anti-Semitic behaviour, then give us a link to an image that she's done that. If you can't provide that, then please don't provide that information as fact, because it's just an opinion at the end of the day. And that's all we have at the moment, opinions. My opinion is Melissa Barrera should not have been fired for her opinions on a war that's got nothing to do with the Scream franchise. But hey ho, that's just me. That's just my opinion. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back. to get you, Barbara. Ever played Skin the Cat?